I came home to my apartment after a night shift, and there was my mother-in-law preparing lunch. How good that you've come. Your things are already in the hallway. Take them, dear. My daughter and her husband will be arriving soon. They have children, and they need the apartment more. After these words, there was no stopping me. My mother-in-law was horrified by what I did. But before I begin, I'll ask you to like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you and enjoy listening. Veronica pushed the apartment door open with her shoulder, holding a bag of groceries and a bag with her work scrubs in her hands. The shift had been brutal, 12 hours on her feet. 3 complicated patients, one of whom nearly ended up in the ICU. Her head was buzzing with fatigue, her legs aching. She wanted only one thing, to get to the couch, take off these damn shoes, and close her eyes for at least an hour. But something wasn't right. Veronica froze on the threshold, not immediately understanding what exactly had changed. Then it dawned on her. The armchair was against a different wall. The coffee table had moved to the window. The floor lamp, which she always kept in the corner, now stood prominently near the bookshelf. Even the area rug had been turned 90 degrees. Someone had been rearranging things here in her absence. On the table lay a note, written in large, sweeping handwriting. Made a small rearrangement. It's cozier this way. Don't thank me. Patricia. Veronica slowly crushed the note in her fist. Her jaw clenched from unspoken words. She had bought this condo 5 years ago, had been saving for it since she was 18, denying herself everything. She worked double shifts, took side jobs at private clinics on weekends, economized on clothes and entertainment. Every dollar went into savings. When the keys finally ended up in her hands, it was the best day of her life. And 3 years ago, she married Ryan. He moved in with her, a calm, non-confrontational man, working as a middle manager at a distribution company. His salary was average, but Veronica didn't care. She earned well, especially considering night shifts and overtime. She didn't need a provider. She just needed a normal person to share her life with, someone she could build a home with and maybe someday have children with. Ryan seemed to be exactly that, at least for the first 6 months. Then Patricia entered their lives. Her mother-in-law came rarely at first. Once a month, she'd drop by for coffee, bringing homemade cookies or a casserole. She behaved politely, though Veronica felt tension in her gaze. Patricia assessed the apartment as if calculating where to move, what to get rid of, and what to add. Over time, the visits became more frequent, once every 2 weeks, then once a week. Then she began appearing when Veronica wasn't home. And now, this furniture rearrangement. Veronica threw the note in the trash, pulled off her jacket, and went to the bedroom. Ryan was still sleeping, sprawled on the bed in boxer shorts and a t-shirt. He worked until 6 in the evening, and then usually sat at the computer until midnight, playing some strategy games. She lay down beside him without changing, closed her eyes. She couldn't fall asleep. Thoughts swirled in her head about how his mother had come here with keys she shouldn't have and started moving furniture in someone else's apartment. A few hours later, Ryan woke up, stretched, and sleepily kissed his wife on the shoulder. "How was your shift?" "Fine." Veronica sat up on the bed, looking at him. "Ryan, where did your mother get keys to the apartment?" He blinked, not immediately understanding. "What keys?" "To this place. She came while I wasn't here, rearranged all the furniture in the living room." Ryan scratched the back of his head, smiling guiltily. "Well, I gave her a duplicate, just in case." "In case of what?" "Well, you never know. What if something happens and we're not home? Or if you lose your keys?" Veronica looked at him silently. He averted his gaze. "She worries about us. She wants to help." Helping is bringing groceries or cleaning when asked, not rearranging furniture without the owner's permission. "Owner," Ryan repeated, and something hurt sounded in his voice. "I live here too, you know." "You live here, but the condo is mine." He pressed his lips together, got up from the bed, pulled on jeans. You're always reminding me of that. I remind you only when your mother crosses boundaries. She just wanted to do something nice. Something nice is to ask if help is needed, not to barge in here when I'm not here and arrange things according to her taste. Ryan paced nervously around the room. Okay, I'll tell her not to do it anymore. And take the keys from her. Veronica, why? She's my mother, not a stranger. The keys, Ryan. He sighed, nodded. All right, I'll take them. But he didn't take the keys. 2 weeks passed. Veronica deliberately didn't raise this topic, observing. Patricia now appeared twice a week, each time in the daughter-in-law's absence. Ryan talked about it casually, as if it were something self-evident. Mom stopped by, brought lasagna. Mom was here, cleaned the windows. Mom left a pot of chili. Veronica said nothing, just noted. Patricia was settling in, claiming space inch by inch. Unfamiliar shampoo appeared in the bathroom. New dish towels in the kitchen. In the hallway, women's slipper size 9, clearly not Ryan's. And then something happened that finally alarmed Veronica. She came home from a night shift on Wednesday morning, exhausted to the point of trembling hands. At the hospital, a patient had died, a 47-year-old man. Heart attack. They tried to resuscitate him, but didn't make it in time. Veronica always took such cases hard, though she tried not to show it in the break room. She changed clothes, drank coffee from the vending machine, and sat in a corner just to collect herself before going home. Nearby settled Tammy, a senior nurse who had worked at the hospital for 35 years, an experienced, straightforward woman who saw right through people. "How are you holding up?" she asked, pouring herself tea from her travel mug. "I'm okay. It was a rough night. It happens." Tammy was silent for a moment, then said, as if in passing, "I heard your mother-in-law's been pretty active." Veronica became alert. "What do you mean?" "Well, one of our CNAs lives in your building. She says she saw your mother-in-law in the lobby. She had keys to your place. She was bragging to the neighbors that her son and daughter-in-law have a nice 2-bedroom. And," Tammy looked at her seriously, "and that she also mentioned her daughter, Sarah, I think, is looking for housing. Rent's gotten expensive. The landlord raised her rate. She has 2 kids. Her husband's having trouble with his paychecks. Patricia was complaining to everyone that she wants to help, but her place is just a 1-bedroom. Veronica went cold. "Tammy, what are you getting at?" She shrugged. "Just that you should keep your property documents somewhere safe. All kinds of things happen. People get creative when they need to solve housing problems." Veronica thanked her and went home. But her colleague's words stuck in her mind. She remembered Sarah vaguely, had seen her a couple times at family gatherings. A woman in her early 30s, a bottle blonde with a perpetually dissatisfied expression. Worked at some retail store. Her husband as a warehouse worker or something. 2 preschool-aged kids. Arriving home, Veronica immediately checked the documents. They were in a safe deposit box at her bank. Deed of ownership, closing documents, title, everything in place. Ryan had never been interested in where she kept the papers, and he didn't have access to the box. Calming down, Veronica returned home and went to sleep. The next days passed quietly. Patricia didn't appear. Ryan behaved as usual, worked, came home, had dinner, played on the computer. Veronica almost believed that everything had worked out. But one evening, when she was washing dishes after dinner, Ryan's phone rang in the living room. He had gone to the bathroom, leaving his cell on the couch. Veronica wasn't planning to eavesdrop, but Patricia's voice from the speaker was so loud that it was impossible not to hear. "Don't worry, everything will work out. The 2-bedroom will be available, I'm telling you." Veronica froze with a plate in her hands, dried her hands, went to the living room, and picked up the phone. "Patricia, good evening." A pause hung in the air. "Oh, Veronica, hello. I'm talking to Ryan." "I heard. What two-bedroom will be available? What do you mean? You said to your daughter that a two-bedroom will be available. Patricia snorted. I was talking about my place. I want to do some renovations. So we're discussing it with Sarah. Maybe she'll help. You have a one-bedroom. So what? I can call it whatever I want. Veronica didn't argue, just silently put the phone back. Ryan came out of the bathroom, took his cell, saw that the call had been dropped, and glanced guiltily at his wife. Mom called. She did. What did she want? Ask her yourself. He didn't, and Veronica finally understood that something was being prepared. Patricia was weaving some kind of web, and Ryan was either aware or, worse, participating. The next day, Veronica got up early, got dressed, and left. She returned an hour later with a locksmith. He quickly and professionally removed the old locks on the front door and installed new ones, high-security deadbolts with anti-pick protection, 3 sets of keys, one for Veronica, a second spare in her safe deposit box, the third for Ryan. When her husband came home from work that evening, he didn't immediately understand what had happened. He tried to open the door with the old key. It didn't work. He rang the doorbell. Veronica opened, handed him the new set. I changed the locks. Ryan's face fell. Why? Because your mother had a duplicate that you promised to take back 2 weeks ago. I forgot. Now it doesn't matter. And what about Mom? If something happens, she'll call us, like all normal people. Ryan turned red, went into the bedroom, threw his messenger bag on the bed. You could have at least warned me. Warned you, so you'd have time to make a third duplicate. He turned around, eyes glistening with hurt. I don't understand what's happening. She's my mother. She's not a stranger. This is my condo, and I decide who has keys to it. Right. Your condo. I'm just temporarily living here. Yes. Veronica was tired. She ran her hand over her face. Ryan, don't. You know perfectly well what I mean. I know that you bought it before the wedding, that I'm nobody here. I didn't say that, but you think it. They fought, for the first time in 3 years, seriously. Ryan shouted that she was cold, that family meant nothing to her, that she was obsessed with control. Veronica was silent because she knew it was useless to talk. He saw only his own rightness and his mother's rightness. By nighttime they made up. Formally. Ryan apologized. Veronica nodded. He hugged her. She didn't push him away. But something between them broke, finally. And 3 days later, a letter appeared in the mailbox. Veronica was getting the mail as usual. Junk mail, utility bills, the neighborhood newsletter, and an envelope with the logo of a law office. She opened it right there in the lobby. Inside was a notice regarding a quitclaim deed for transfer of a 50% interest in the property at such and such address to Sarah Michelle Thompson. Veronica reread it twice, then took out her phone and dialed the number of the law office indicated in the letterhead. A woman with a professional voice answered. Thompson and Associates. How may I help you? Hello. My name is Veronica Martinez. I received a notice regarding a quitclaim deed for my property. I didn't authorize any such transfer. The woman hesitated. 1 moment, please. There was a sound of keyboard clicking. Yes, we do have a filing. Mrs. Patricia Thompson presented a power of attorney in your name to process the deed transfer. I repeat, I didn't sign any power of attorney. I understand. Then the filing will be suspended, pending verification. You'll need to come in person with identification to provide a statement. Veronica promised to come the next day and hung up. Her hands were shaking. Patricia had tried to process a deed transfer using forged documents, forged her signature, appeared at a law office with a fake power of attorney, and tried to sign over half the condo to her daughter. This was no longer just overstepping. This was attempted fraud. Veronica went upstairs, locked the door with all the locks, and sat in the kitchen, looking out the window. Thoughts swarmed in her head about what to do. File a police report? Confront Patricia directly? Tell Ryan? No, Ryan wouldn't believe it. Or he would believe, but find an excuse for his mother. He'd say she just wanted to help her daughter, that she got confused, that it wasn't intentional. Veronica decided differently. Tomorrow she'd go to the law office, officially block the attempt, give a statement that the power of attorney was forged, and then she'd watch. Patricia clearly wouldn't stop at one attempt. She'd try again, more cleverly, more cunningly, and Veronica had to be ready. The next day, she went to the office, filed a statement. The attorney, a middle-aged woman with a sharp gaze, listened to her attentively and shook her head. This happens more often than you'd think. Family members try to transfer property using the trust or naivety of owners. It's good that you caught this in time. What will happen to the person who brought the forged power of attorney? You can file a police report. Forgery and attempted fraud are criminal offenses. Veronica thought and declined. Not yet. Just make sure everything related to this property is flagged. No transactions without my personal presence and verification. Smart move. Returning home, Veronica felt drained. Patricia had crossed the line. Now this was war. Not open, but war. And Veronica was going to win. At home, she found Ryan at the computer. He was playing another strategy game, enthusiastically clicking the mouse. He didn't even turn around when his wife entered. "Ryan, we need to talk." "Huh, just a sec. I'll finish this battle." Veronica unplugged the power strip. The screen went dark. "What the hell?" "We need to talk now." He leaned back in his chair with annoyance. "Okay, what now?" "Your mother tried to process a quitclaim deed for half the condo in your sister's name using a forged power of attorney in my name." Ryan blinked. "What?" "You heard me. This is some kind of mistake." "No mistake. I was at the law office today. Everything was confirmed." He shook his head. "That can't be. Mom wouldn't do something like that." "She did, and she tried." "Maybe she just got confused?" Veronica laughed, bitterly without joy. "Got confused. Forged my signature. Showed up at a law office with fake papers. Tried to transfer my property to her daughter. And that's called getting confused." Ryan stood up, paced nervously around the room. "I'll talk to her." "Don't." "What do you mean, don't?" "Don't. I want to see what she does next." "Veronica, are you serious?" She looked him in the eyes. "Absolutely. Your mother has shown what she's capable of. Now I'll be ready for whatever she tries. You're turning this into some kind of surveillance." "I'm protecting my property." Ryan clenched his fists. "I see. Property is more important to you than family. My family is you and me. Not your mother, not your sister. Us. They're my family too. Then choose." Silence hung in the air. Ryan looked at his wife, not believing what he heard. "You're making me choose?" "No. You put yourself in this position when you gave your mother keys without my knowledge, when you let her take over in my home, when you turned a blind eye to her behavior. And now she's gotten to the point of forging documents." Ryan was silent, then abruptly turned and left the room. The bedroom door slammed. Veronica remained alone in the kitchen. She sat down, put her hands on the table. Inside was empty and cold. She understood that things would only get worse from here. Patricia wouldn't back down. Sarah wouldn't either. They would pressure, manipulate, come up with new schemes. And Ryan couldn't stand up to them. He was too weak, too dependent on his mother. And sooner or later, all this would end in an explosion. Veronica didn't know when exactly it would happen, but she felt it would be very soon. The next weeks passed in tense silence. Ryan barely spoke to her, came home from work, ate separately, went to his room. Patricia no longer appeared. Apparently Ryan had said something to her after all. But Veronica knew this was the calm before the storm. The enemy had retreated to regroup and strike harder. and she was ready to meet this attack, fully prepared. She just didn't know yet how harsh it would turn out to be. 2 weeks passed after the forged power of attorney incident. Veronica worked in her usual routine. 3 night shifts a week, 2-day shifts, weekends at home. Ryan behaved quietly, almost invisibly. He came, left, ate, slept. Conversations were reduced to a minimum, discussing bills, groceries, household matters, and then he suddenly changed. Veronica returned from her shift on Saturday evening and found a bouquet of sunflowers on the kitchen counter. Large, bright, beautiful. Next to it a note, sorry for everything. Love, Ryan. She stood for a long time, looking at the flowers. Something inside tensed, as if before a storm. Ryan never gave bouquets just like that, only on Valentine's Day and her birthday. And he certainly never apologized in this way. Her husband appeared from the bedroom, smiling uncertainly. Do you like them? They're beautiful. Thank you. I was thinking maybe we should go somewhere, catch a movie or get dinner. Veronica looked at him silently. Ryan nervously rubbed his palms. We haven't been out together in forever. You work so much, you're exhausted. We need to relax. Okay. They ended up going to an Italian restaurant downtown. Ryan ordered wine, pasta, tiramisu. He talked about work, about a new project he'd been assigned. He tried to be charming, attentive. Veronica nodded. Ate, answered briefly. She was waiting. The pitch came on the 3rd day. Ryan was sitting on the couch with a beer. Veronica was folding laundry after washing. He cleared his throat, as if gathering his courage. Veronica, I've been thinking. She continued, folding a towel, not turning around. We have a 2-bedroom, pretty spacious, and it's just the 2 of us. And, well, I was thinking maybe we could rent out the 2nd room to a grad student or a young professional. The extra income would be really helpful. Veronica put the towel in the closet, closed the door, turned around. No. Ryan blinked. Why not? Let's at least talk about it. There's nothing to discuss. I don't want to live with strangers in my home. But think about the money. I don't need that money. I need my home where I can rest peacefully after 12-hour shifts. Ryan put his beer down on the coffee table, stood up. Veronica, you can't be so rigid. People rent out rooms all the time. It's completely normal. Let them rent. I won't. What if I really think we should do this? She looked him in the eyes. You can think whatever you want. The condo is mine. I make the decisions. Ryan's face darkened. There it is again. The condo is yours. I'm nobody here. Exactly. You're not on the deed. And you don't have the right to decide who lives here. He clenched his fists, turned, and went to the bedroom. The door slammed. Veronica returned to the laundry. Inside, anxiety settled. Ryan didn't think of this himself. Someone clearly put the idea in his head. And it wasn't hard to guess who'd done a week later. Someone rang the doorbell on Sunday morning. Veronica opened it and found Sarah on the threshold with 2 children, a boy about 5 and a girl about 3, both in jackets with backpacks. Hey, Veronica, can we come in? Sarah squeezed into the apartment without waiting for an answer. The children ran in after her, immediately starting to explore. Is Ryan home? He's still sleeping. That's okay, we'll hang out quietly. Sarah settled in the kitchen. The children ran to the living room. Veronica remained standing in the hallway, watching. Sarah took a travel mug from her tote bag, poured herself coffee. You don't mind that we stopped by? We were just in the neighborhood at the park. I thought, let me visit my brother. Ryan hadn't woken up yet. Yeah, I'll wait. Veronica went to the kitchen, poured herself water. Sarah looked at her with some kind of pitying expression. Listen, Veronica, I feel so bad about all this. About what? Well, this whole power of attorney thing. Mom told me about it. I swear I had no idea. She did it all on her own. I only found out after. I see. I'm sorry if it caused problems. I would never have agreed to something like that. Veronica nodded, saying nothing in response. Sarah was silent for a moment, then sighed heavily. We're really struggling right now. How so? Our landlord raised the rent, like doubled it. Can you imagine? We can't swing it at all. My husband's hours got cut. They reduced my commission at work. The kids are growing, they need so much. Daycare, clothes, food. Veronica listened silently. Sarah continued, looking into her cup. We thought about moving somewhere cheaper, but the places are awful. Mold, broken fixtures. Can't bring the kids there. And we can't afford these crazy prices for a rundown one-bedroom either. That's tough. Sarah raised her eyes. You guys have so much room here. 2 bedrooms, nice layout. And it's just the 2 of you. Veronica put the glass in the sink. Sarah, if you came to ask if you can move in, I'll answer right now no. She flushed. Well, I wasn't asking exactly. I just thought maybe we could work something out. Temporarily for a couple months. We'd pay for utilities, groceries. We'd help around the place. No. But why? We're family. That's exactly why. Families should live separately to keep relationships healthy. Sarah pressed her lips together. So you don't care that my kids don't have decent housing? Your kids have a mother and father. You're adults, handle your own problems. Wow. Cold. Veronica shrugged and left the kitchen. Ryan had woken up, came out into the hallway in sweatpants and a t-shirt. Saw his sister, brightened up. Sarah, what a surprise. Came by with the kids, wanted to talk. They went to the living room. Veronica heard their voices. Sarah was explaining something earnestly. Ryan answered soothingly, then they came out. Sarah gathered the children, got them dressed, threw an angry look at Veronica, and left, the door closing hard behind her. Ryan remained standing in the hallway, looking at the floor. Would it have been so hard to say yes? Say yes to what? Let them stay for a couple months. Their family. Your family, not mine. The kids are little, they need stability. Let their parents provide that stability. That's their job, not mine. Ryan shook his head. I don't even know you anymore. You've become so hard. I've started protecting my boundaries. Those are different things. He went to the bedroom, pointedly slamming the door. Veronica returned to the kitchen, finished her water. Inside, a bad feeling settled. First Ryan with the room rental suggestion, then Sarah with requests to move in. This wasn't a coincidence, this was a plan. Patricia was pressuring from all sides, trying to break through the defenses. And the scariest thing was that Ryan was completely on her side that a few days later, a new phase of the siege began. Patricia appeared again, not with a duplicate key, which she no longer had, but simply by ringing the doorbell when Veronica was home. Hello, dear. I made a chicken casserole, brought some over. Veronica silently let her in. Patricia went to the kitchen, put the dish in the fridge. Is Ryan home? At work. Too bad. I wanted to talk to him. She looked around, as if assessing the territory. It's so clean here. You're a good housekeeper. Veronica didn't respond. Patricia opened the refrigerator, looked inside. Not much food. Let me run to the store, stock you up. No need. Why not? I'd be happy to. I'll shop when I need to. Patricia closed the refrigerator, turned to her daughter-in-law. The smile disappeared from her face. You know, Veronica, I wanted to talk to you woman to woman. I'm listening. You understand that my daughter is in a really tough spot right now? 2 kids, her husband barely making ends meet, rent through the roof, and you have a whole bedroom sitting empty here. The room isn't empty. We're planning to make it a nursery. Patricia snorted. A nursery? Married 3 years and still no kids. Maybe you should stop planning and start trying. Veronica clenched her teeth, holding back a sharp response. That's mine and Ryan's business, not yours. How is it not my business? I'm his mother. I want grandchildren. But you're all focused on your career, your money, your condo, your documents. What about family? Patricia, I'm tired. I need to rest before my shift. Would you mind leaving? The mother-in-law didn't move. You know, in this state, a spouse has marital property, rights to assets acquired during marriage, even if the title is only in one name. Veronica went cold. Patricia smiled, seeing the reaction. Didn't know? It's true. Any improvements made during the marriage can count as marital property, and Ryan could file for his share if he wanted. The condo was purchased before marriage. But renovations were done. Furniture was bought, appliances. That's all marital investment. And it could be argued that the property's value increased due to Ryan's contributions. Veronica exhaled slowly. You want Ryan to file for a petition? I want you to be fair. Ryan is my son. He's your husband. He has just as much right to this place as you do. And you treat him like he's just temporarily crashing here. An unwanted guest. This is my property. For now. But the law is on our side. Ryan can demand his share, and then half of this two-bedroom will be his, and he can decide who lives here. Patricia took her purse, headed for the door. At the threshold, she turned. Think about what I said, Veronica. Family isn't just about rights, it's about responsibilities. You help people when they need it, especially family. The door closed. Veronica remained standing in the middle of the kitchen, clenching her fists so hard that her nails dug into her palms. Patricia was openly threatening, hinting that Ryan could sue for half the condo. And knowing her husband's character, Veronica understood he was capable of it. If his mother pressed hard enough, he'd go to court. She needed to act. The next day, Veronica took a personal day and went to see a family law attorney. She found one through a recommendation from her friend Marina, an experienced attorney in her 50s with a sharp gaze and no-nonsense demeanor. After hearing the story, the attorney nodded. The situation is problematic, but not catastrophic. The property was acquired before marriage. That's documented. That means it's separate property, not marital. But what if my husband claims he contributed to improvements? He can try, but he'd need receipts, bank statements, proof that specifically he paid for renovations or major purchases. Do you have records showing otherwise? Veronica thought. I don't know. Renovations were done 4 years ago, before the wedding. I bought most of the furniture. The appliances, too. You see, if he can't prove substantial financial contribution, the court won't recognize a marital interest in the property. But my mother-in-law said, your mother-in-law is trying to intimidate you. It's a common tactic. Scare you into voluntarily giving in. The attorney pulled out a legal pad, began writing. Here's what I recommend. Gather all documents proving you purchased the property with your own funds. Bank statements, closing documents, mortgage records in your name. If you have proof your husband didn't contribute financially, gather that too. Any receipts, invoices, transaction history that supports your position. Okay. And also, if you feel the situation is escalating, consider a post-nuptial agreement or divorce, because things are likely to get worse before they get better. Veronica thanked her and left. At home, she pulled out her file with documents and began reviewing papers. Purchase agreement in her name, bank statements showing she made the down payment, mortgage in her name alone, payments from her account, renovation receipts, everything paid by her before marriage. Ryan really hadn't invested a penny in the condo. He moved into a finished, furnished home. All he did was live there. Even the HOA fees and utilities Veronica paid herself because she earned more. She put the documents back, secured them in her safe deposit box. Now, if it came to court, she had protection. But Veronica hoped it wouldn't come to that. The next days, Patricia appeared daily, sometimes with food, sometimes with cleaning supplies, sometimes just to check in. Ryan had clearly given her a new set of keys because sometimes Veronica returned from work and found her mother-in-law already in the apartment. "I cleaned the bathroom," she'd say. "It needed it." Or, "I vacuumed." "You're too tired from work to keep up." Veronica silently accepted these invasions, but inside she was seething. Patricia was marking territory again, showing she could enter at any moment. And Ryan was enabling her point. One day, Veronica caught her mother-in-law in the bedroom. She was standing by the closet, examining the shelves. "What are you doing?" Patricia turned unembarrassed. "Looking at your storage. Could be organized better, make more room." "For what?" "Well, if someone needs to move in, you'll need to make space." Veronica came closer. "Patricia, no one is moving in here. I already told you that." "We'll see." The mother-in-law walked past her into the hallway, grabbed her purse. "I'll come again tomorrow. Want to deep clean the kitchen." "Don't. It needs it. You don't have time." Veronica walked her to the door, locked all the locks, sat on the couch, covered her face with her hands. This was unbearable. Patricia was acting as if this condo already belonged to her. Ryan wasn't stopping it. On the contrary, he was facilitating it. And that evening, her husband announced he was going on a business trip. 3 days to Sacramento for vendor meetings. Okay. Veronica wasn't surprised. She was expecting something like this. Ryan was leaving so as not to interfere with his mother. That meant Patricia was preparing something serious. Her husband left on Monday morning, and that very evening someone rang the doorbell. Patricia with grocery bags. "Thought I'd make you dinner. It's lonely eating by yourself." Veronica let her in. The mother-in-law went to the kitchen, started unpacking vegetables, chicken, bustling, chattering, commenting on everything. Veronica sat in the living room, pretending to watch TV. Patricia left an hour later, saying she'd come again tomorrow. And she did come the next day and the day after, each time staying longer, walking through the rooms, studying everything, asking when Veronica had shifts, what her schedule was, when she was home and when not. "You work nights sometimes, right?" "I do." "How often?" "It varies. Depends on staffing." "And this week?" Veronica looked at her carefully. "Why do you need to know?" Patricia smiled. "Just curious. Must be exhausting working nights." "I'm used to it." Veronica didn't specify that on Thursday she indeed had a night shift. Let her mother-in-law think she hadn't figured out the plan. On Wednesday, Ryan returned from the trip, behaved pointedly neutral, barely talked. Veronica noticed he was texting with someone, hiding the screen when she approached it on Thursday morning. She was getting ready for a day shift. Changed into scrubs, grabbed her bag. At work, she told her supervisor she wasn't feeling well and asked to leave early. The supervisor agreed without questions. Veronica left the hospital at 2 p.m. and drove home. But she didn't go up to the apartment, stopped at the building entrance, parked where she could see the lobby. She waited. 20 minutes later, an old red Honda pulled up. Veronica recognized it. It was Sarah's husband's car. Sarah got out, followed by the children, then her husband with large duffel bags. Then Patricia appeared, gesturing, talking animatedly. They pulled boxes and bags out of the trunk. Lots of belongings. Patricia took keys out of her purse, new, shiny ones. She opened the building door, and the whole group disappeared inside. Veronica sat watching. Her heart pounded. Her hands trembled with rage. Ryan had made another duplicate, gave it to his mother. And now they were moving Sarah and her family into the condo while Veronica wasn't home. She took out her phone, called her friend Marina. "Hey, can I crash at your place tonight?" "Of course. What happened?" "I'll tell you when I get there. Be there in an hour." Veronica got in her car and drove away. On the way to Marina's, she stopped at Target, bought a bottle of wine and chocolate. Her friend met her with concern. "You look so pale." "I'm okay. Just exhausted." They sat in the kitchen. Marina poured wine. Veronica told everything about her mother-in-law, about the attempted deed transfer, about the constant invasions, about what she saw at the building today. Marina listened, shaking her head. This is completely insane. What are you going to do? Tomorrow I have a night shift. I'll work it, and then I'll come home in the morning. Veronica looked her friend in the eyes. And we'll see how this plays out. Marina was silent for a moment. Are you sure you can handle this? Absolutely. Want me to come with you for backup? No, I need to do this myself. They finished the wine, went to bed. Veronica barely slept, the plan of action running through her head. Tomorrow she'd return home and find Sarah and her family there. Patricia would most likely be there too. Ryan, possibly. And then the real confrontation would begin. Veronica was ready. The property documents were in her safe deposit box. The phone was charged with a video recording app ready. The numbers for police and the attorney were in her favorites. She knew what to do. Step by step, without emotions, without hysteria. Coldly and deliberately. Patricia had gone too far, and now it was time to face the consequences. In the morning, Veronica woke early, had coffee with Marina, thanked her for the hospitality, and left for her shift. She worked 12 hours, a brutal shift, several critical patients, one case with suspected appendicitis that was confirmed, and the patient rushed to surgery. By morning, Veronica could barely stand. Her body felt like lead. Her eyes burned with fatigue. She changed in the locker room, splashed cold water on her face, looked at herself in the mirror. Pale face, dark circles under her eyes, hollow gaze. She needed to go home. Veronica retrieved the folder with property documents from her locker, put it in her bag, got in the car, and drove home. On the way, she stopped at a grocery store, bought a bag of items for appearance's sake, drove to the building, parked, went up to the entrance, used her key fob for the lobby door. The elevator was broken, as always at the worst time. Had to take the stairs to the 5th floor. With each step, tension mounted inside. Her heart beat steadily. Her hands didn't shake. Thoughts were crystal clear. She knew what she'd find upstairs, knew what she'd say, knew what she'd do. She reached the 5th floor and stopped. Near the wall opposite her door stood boxes and bags, many of them neatly stacked, wrapped with packing tape. Veronica recognized her belongings. Clothes, shoes, books, toiletries. Even framed photos sat on top of one box. She'd been evicted. Veronica put the grocery bag down, took her phone out of her pocket, checked the battery, 92%, opened the camera app, switched to video mode. Hit record, approached the door, inserted the key in the lock, turned it, the lock clicked. The key worked, so they hadn't managed to change the locks or hadn't thought of it. Veronica pushed the door and entered. The apartment smelled of fried onions and something sweet. In the kitchen stood Patricia in a floral apron, stirring something in a pot on the stove. Her hair was pulled back, her face wearing the satisfied expression of a woman settling into her territory. From the rooms came voices, children's laughter, the sound of footsteps, furniture scraping. Sarah was saying something to her husband. He answered in a low voice. Patricia turned at the sound of footsteps, saw Veronica in the doorway, and smiled broadly. How good that you've come. Your things are already in the hallway. Take them, dear. My daughter and her husband will be arriving soon. They have children, and they need the apartment more. Veronica slowly put her bag down, not taking her eyes off her mother-in-law. She stood with a wooden spoon in her hand, smiling, expecting a reaction, waiting for tears, screams, hysteria. She didn't get them. After these words, there was no stopping me. Veronica raised her phone, aimed the camera at Patricia. Today is September 6th, 2025. The time is 9:37 a.m. I am Veronica Martinez. I am in my condominium at the address Maple Street, Building 8, Unit 53. In the unit are unauthorized persons who refuse to leave the premises. Patricia lowered the spoon. The smile slid off her face. What are you doing? Documenting the trespass. What trespass? This is my son's home. No, this is my property. I am the sole owner on the deed. Veronica walked further into the hallway, filming, looked into the living room. There Sarah and her husband were unpacking children's things. Toys on the floor, clothes on the couch, a portable crib in the corner. The children, a boy and a girl, sat on the carpet with coloring books. Documented. In the living room are 4 people. Sarah Thompson, her husband, 2 minor children. They illegally entered the unit and refused to leave the premises. Sarah jumped up from the couch. What the hell are you doing? I'm recording evidence to present to police. Police? Veronica, are you insane? Veronica ignored the question, went to the bedroom. There on the bed lay Ryan in athletic shorts and a t-shirt, scrolling on his phone. Saw his wife with the camera. Went pale. Ronnie, documented. In the bedroom is Ryan Thompson, my spouse who is not an owner of this residential property. Veronica, let's talk about this. No. She returned to the hallway. Patricia blocked her path, her face twisted with anger. Turn that off right now. No. I'm your mother-in-law. You're an unauthorized person who illegally entered my property. You have 10 minutes to leave voluntarily. The countdown has started. Patricia tried to grab the phone. Veronica stepped back, raised the camera higher. Documented, Patricia Thompson is attempting to interfere with recording and use physical force. What recording? This is my son's place. 9 minutes, 40 seconds. Sarah ran out of the living room. Behind her, her husband, a stocky man with stubble and a wary expression. What are you doing? We're here with our stuff, the kids. 9 minutes, 20 seconds. If you don't leave voluntarily, I'm calling the police. Sarah laughed. The police? Do you hear yourself? We're family. We're related. You're unauthorized occupants who illegally entered. And now I'm calling a patrol. Veronica dialed 911 without turning off the camera. Ringing. Patricia rushed forward, trying to take the phone. Veronica dodged, stepped back toward the window. A dispatcher answered. 911, what's your emergency? Hello. My name is Veronica Martinez. I need to report a trespassing situation at my residence. Address is Maple Street, Building 8, Unit 53. What's the nature of the situation? There are 4 adults and 2 children in my condo. They entered without my permission, removed my belongings to the hallway, and refused to leave. I'm the property owner. I have the deed with me. Officers are being dispatched. Please stay on the line if you feel unsafe. I'm okay. I'm recording everything. Officers will be there shortly. Patricia was shouting, waving her arms. Sarah tried to grab Veronica's sleeve. She pulled away, continuing to film. Documented. Sarah Thompson is using physical contact, attempting to prevent emergency call. I'm not doing anything. I just want you to stop this. Police are on their way. You should pack your things. Patricia grabbed her chest dramatically. Ryan, are you going to let her throw your mother out on the street? Ryan came out of the bedroom, confused, with red blotches on his face. Veronica, why are you doing this? Can we just talk? Too late to talk. You invaded my home, threw out my belongings, moved in without my permission. This is criminal trespass. Criminal, I'm your husband. You're not on the deed. You have no right to decide who lives here. Ryan looked at his mother, then at his wife, opened his mouth, closed it, said nothing. Patricia approached Veronica closely. Her eyes burned. Her voice shook with rage. Do you understand what you're doing? Throwing out family, little children. You have an apartment. Patricia and your daughter has a rental. Go there. You're heartless. I'm protecting my property rights. The mother-in-law raised her hand as if to slap her. Veronica didn't flinch, only raised the phone higher. Documented. Threat of assault from Patricia Thompson. Patricia lowered her hand, spun around, went to the kitchen, turned off the stove, ripped off the apron, threw it on the counter. Fine, we'll see how you like it when Ryan files for his marital share. Half this place is his by right. The condo was purchased before marriage. Your son didn't invest a penny. I have all the documentation, so good luck trying. We'll see about that. Patricia grabbed her purse, went into the hallway. Sarah stood in the middle of the living room, hugging herself. Her husband was shoving children's things into garbage bags. The kids looked at the adults with frightened eyes. "Mom, what do we do?" Sarah asked in a trembling voice. "We're leaving. Let this which have her precious apartment." They began gathering belongings. Veronica stood in the hallway, filming everything. Ryan approached her, tried to take her hand. "Ronnie, stop this. This is crazy. Don't touch me. I didn't want it to go like this. Mom just thought. Your mom is taking over my property. You're helping her. You threw me out like trash, and now you're shocked. I called the cops." Ryan stepped back. "I thought we'd work it out. Let Sarah stay temporarily. She'd get back on her feet, find a place. You thought? And you didn't think to discuss it with me first. You wouldn't have agreed. You're right, because this is my home, and only I decide who lives here." Patricia came out of the living room with her purse and a tote bag, threw a venomous look at Veronica. "You're going to regret this. Mark my words." "Maybe, but not today." Someone knocked on the door. Veronica opened it. On the threshold stood 2 police officers, 1 male, 1 female, both in uniform with body cameras. "We got a call about a trespassing situation." "Yes, please come in." Veronica let them into the apartment. The male officer looked around the hallway, noticed people with bags, children. "What's going on here?" Veronica retrieved the folder from her bag. "I'm the owner of this condominium. Here's my deed, closing documents, title insurance. These people entered without my permission, removed my belongings to the hallway, and refused to leave." The officer examined the documents. "You're the sole owner." "Yes." "And these individuals?" "Mother-in-law, her daughter with family, and my husband." The officer looked at Patricia. "Do you have any documentation showing right of occupancy?" Patricia straightened up. "What documentation? This is my son's home." "Does your son have an ownership interest in the property?" "No, but he's the husband. He lives here." The officer turned to Ryan. "Are you a resident? On the lease or deed?" Ryan shook his head. "No." "Are you an owner or co-owner?" "No." "Then you also don't have the right to be here against the owner's wishes." Patricia gasped. "How can you say that? He's the husband." "That doesn't automatically confer property rights if the title is solely in the spouse's name and acquired before marriage." The officer returned the documents to Veronica. "Everything checks out. You have every right to demand these individuals vacate. Folks, I need you to gather your belongings and leave voluntarily, or we'll have to file a trespass report." Patricia grabbed her chest, sat heavily on a chair. "I'm not feeling well." The officer calmly reached for his radio. "Should I call an ambulance?" Patricia quickly stood up. "No, I'm fine." Sarah grabbed the children by the hands. Her husband picked up bags. They filed out to the hallway, went down the stairs. Patricia followed them, shooting a look of pure hatred at Veronica. My mother-in-law was horrified by what I did. She never expected that the quiet, exhausted daughter-in-law would be capable of this, that she'd call the police on her husband's family, that she'd evict everyone without mercy or doubt. Ryan remained standing in the hallway. The officer looked at him. "You leaving too?" Ryan glanced at his wife. "Ronnie, leave, Ryan. Take your things and go to your mother's. You can't do this. I'm your husband. You were. Not anymore. We can work this out. There's nothing to work out. You chose your mother. Go live with her. The officer cleared his throat. Sir, I strongly suggest you comply. Your wife has the legal right to exclude you from the property. Ryan stood for another minute, then turned and went to the bedroom, returned with a duffel bag hastily stuffed with clothes, walked past Veronica without looking at her. The door closed. The female officer looked at Veronica. Do you want to file a formal report? Yes. I want to document the illegal entry. All right. You can come down to the station to file. Here's my card. I'll come after I rest. Understood. Call if there are any further problems. The officers left. Veronica locked the door with all 3 deadbolts, leaned her back against it. Silence. For the first time in hours, absolute silence, she walked through the apartment. In the kitchen, half-cooked soup had cooled in the pot. On the counter lay vegetable peels, dirty utensils. In the living room, toys were scattered, a crumpled blanket on the couch. In the bedroom, the bed was unmade, Ryan's clothes spilling out of drawers. Veronica sat on the floor in the middle of the hallway. The phone was still recording. She stopped the video, set the device beside her, covered her face with her hands. She didn't cry. Just Saturday, then she got up, went to the bathroom, turned on the shower, undressed, stood under the hot water. It washed away fatigue, tension, anger. Veronica stood in the shower for 20 minutes until her skin turned red. She got out, dried off, put on sweats and a t-shirt, returned to the hallway, brought her belongings back inside from the hall. Boxes and bags carried into the apartment, placed in corners. Didn't start unpacking, no energy left, lay on the bed, fell asleep instantly. Woke up in the evening. Outside the window, dusk. Veronica got up, went to the kitchen, threw out the soup, washed the pot, wiped the counters, took out the trash, made tea. The phone was flooded with calls and texts. Ryan sent long, angry messages about how cold she was. Patricia sent voice mails with threats to sue. Sarah accused her of leaving children homeless. Veronica blocked all 3 numbers, then called the attorney, told her what happened. She made an approving sound. Smart move. Now file for divorce and don't let them back under any circumstances, even if they beg. I won't. Good. Come in tomorrow. We'll start the paperwork. Veronica thanked her and hung up. Had tea with crackers, looked out the window. The city lived its life. Lights glowed, cars drove, people walked. An ordinary evening of an ordinary day. And her life had turned upside down. The next day, Veronica went to the police station, filed a report, then to the attorney, filed for divorce. A week later, she received divorce papers. Ryan tried to call from other numbers, asked to meet, talk. Promised it would never happen again. Veronica answered briefly, "The divorce is happening." Patricia came to the building, waited in the lobby. Veronica called the police. The officer had a conversation, after which the mother-in-law stopped appearing. Sarah posted angry rants on Facebook about the cruel sister-in-law who threw a family with children out on the street. Some acquaintances unfriended Veronica. Others supported her point. 2 months passed. The divorce was finalized quickly. Ryan didn't contest it, understanding the futility. The condo remained Veronica's. The ex-husband moved in with his mother, got a new job. Occasionally, Veronica heard from mutual acquaintances that he complained about his ex-wife, called her cold and calculating. Let him talk. Sarah and her family did move out of their rental, found cheaper housing across town. Patricia helped them with money, babysat the kids. The family lived their life, Veronica hers. Some acquaintances did turn away. They thought she acted cruelly, that she should have understood the situation, helped family. Veronica didn't make excuses, simply removed such people from her life. Real friends remained. Marina supported from day one, helped get through the divorce. Colleagues at work reacted with understanding. They knew Veronica as a dedicated and honest person. Life settled into a new rhythm. Work, home, occasional meetups with friends. Quiet, steady, calm. Solitary. On a Friday evening, Veronica returned from another shift, opened the door with her key, the same one that no one else could copy without her permission, entered the apartment. Silence, cleanliness, order. Took off her jacket, hung it up, kicked off her sneakers, went to the kitchen, made tea, sat by the window. Outside the window, the evening city. Lights in apartment windows, street lights lining the roads, occasional cars passing. Late fall, cool, the sky heavy with clouds. Winter coming soon. Veronica sipped tea slowly, exhausted, wanted to sleep, but didn't want to move, go to the bedroom. It was good just to sit here in the quiet. Alone, sometimes thoughts came. What if she was wrong? What if she should have tried to compromise, find middle ground? Maybe she really could have let Sarah stay temporarily help out. But then Veronica remembered that day. Boxes with her belongings in the hallway, Patricia in the kitchen, acting like she owned the place, Ryan who didn't even try to defend his wife. And all doubts vanished. She did the right thing. She paid a steep price for it. Solitude, judgment, a destroyed marriage. She lost her husband, though honestly, she lost him much earlier, the moment he chose his mother over his wife. But she preserved what mattered most. Her home, her dignity, her autonomy. Veronica finished her tea, rinsed the cup, turned off the kitchen light, went to the bedroom, lay down, pulled up the comforter, closed her eyes. Tomorrow would bring a new day, a new shift, new patience, new challenges. Life continues, even if you're alone, even if some consider you heartless, even if loneliness sometimes hits hard at night. This was her choice, and she didn't regret it. Sometimes you have to lose people to preserve yourself. And that's the right choice, even when it breaks your heart.